Now 7:01. I'd like to call the February 2nd, 2026 regular council meeting into order. Ms. Capone, roll call, please.
Councilmember Brown,
Here.
Eastman,
Here.
Jablisco,
Here.
Miles, Mojica,
Here.
Montestioka,
Here.
Newberry,
Here.
Parsons absent, Brooks.
Here. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Councilman Brown, would you please read the invocation?
Yes. Heads bowed. As we gather in this meeting, we come humbly before you, asking for your wisdom and understanding to guide us. Help us to approach each discussion with humility, open hearts, and dear minds. Grant us the patience to listen to one another and the grace to understand different perspectives. As we move forward, give us the peace knowing that your hand is upon us and that you are directly directing our steps. Thank you for your constant presence and for your wisdom. I'd like to take a few minutes now at this particular time. As a family, we had a death in the city of Rahway a few weeks ago. As we gather tonight, we remember with heavy hearts the neighbor we lost in the tragic fire a few weeks ago. We ask for the spirit of comfort to surround her family and all of those who feel the weight of her absence. May we be guided by the compassion and the unity as we honor her memory, working together to strengthen the safety of our residents in our Rahway community. The only thing that I can give is that I would say to the family, I lost my mother in a fire in the city of Rahway. And I do have some of those feelings that they might have of their lost ones. Amen.
Councilman Brown, thank you for that. And our condolences, of course. Ms. Capone, can you please read the open public meetings statement?
Notice of this meeting has been sent to the official newspapers, and adequate and electronic notice has been provided in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act as required by law.
Thank you so much. Now we'll take time to turn the meeting over to administration.
Thank you, Council President. I'm going to give a brief introduction as to what we're looking for this evening, what we're looking to accomplish. As you know, Mayor Giacobbe requested the opportunity to have the administration make a presentation this evening on the water utility. And as I think all of you know, we've had individual discussions, I think, with everybody over more than 12 months, to keeping you abreast of exactly where we're at. So in well over a year now, the administration has been undertaking analysis of the water utility with the goal of determining what a long-term operating strategy for the utility should look like. The conclusion we came to was that the possibility of selling the utility was an option that we had to explore in detail. And before I go any further, and you're going to hear this reiterated several times this evening, the ultimate sale of the utility will take place only if passed by a referendum of the voters. In this case, that referendum would take place this coming November at the general election. So that is literally a decision that is up to the voters, the electorate of Rahway. So I want to make that clear, and again, you're going to hear that several times this evening. There is a resolution on tonight's agenda that would authorize the acceptance of bids for the sale of the utility. That is a first step in the process, and only that it is a first step. There are several other steps that that you're going to hear about that ultimately, if you commence that process tonight and bids are accepted and they're favorable and the referendum passes, that could culminate in the sale of the utility. To aid us in our initial analysis, the ongoing analysis, the determinations, preparation of bids, if you authorize them, the review, et cetera, we've assembled a professional team, two of whom are here this evening. You're going to hear from them. Mike Willis is from T&M and Associates, an engineering firm. Mike's specialty is in public water supply. We also have Jim Spinarkle from the firm of Waters, McPherson, McNeil, who's special counsel to the project. You're going to hear from Jim on the actual process. What we would like to do this evening is make a presentation not only to you as council members who, again, have to act one way or the other on the resolution, but also to the public. The line of march, as I call it, this evening is going to be the mayor's going to speak first. He's going to open it. Mike Willis is going to give some technical background. Mr. Spinarkle will give an overview of the process, and the mayor's going to come back and make some closing remarks. At the end of that, we will have a question and answer period for council. It'll be a Q&A specifically for council. After that, we will take public comment, question and answer. We would request that if the public wants to comment on the presentation they've heard this evening, or in questions that it may evoke, that they do so during that period of time that we've allotted for question and answer subsequent to the presentation. Our professionals will stay and make themselves available during that period. After that, we will go back to the regular agenda. Before I turn it over to Mayor Giacobbe, we would request that the public limit their comments to 3 minutes so that everybody has an opportunity to speak this evening. In addition to that, be advised that we are placing the presentation in its full form will be on our website and available to the public. We are also videoing this presentation tonight so the public will be able to avail themselves of a Q&A period and the presentation, again, that's given this evening. Our goal is to have a full, transparent, open dialogue, discussion, environment with the voters of Rahway so that they can make an informed, intelligent, rational, reasonable decision if the process is initiated tonight, and as we go through it, you move forward with it. So again, this is the first step, not only in initiating the process, but in what we perceive and are very desirous of having as a very open, transparent process, and hopefully one that ends up coming to with our electorate coming to an informed conclusion. So I think by way of introduction, that's what we want to accomplish. To council, what we would ask you is before the mayor starts to vacate the dais and come to the front of the council chambers for the presentation, after which we would ask you to return to your seats for the question and answer period.
Thank you, Mr. Landolfi. Mayor?
We're going to have them, we'll let you guys get your seat. We'll have them set up the screen, and then
Once we set up, Mayor Giacobbe is going to
Yep.
proceed with his formal remarks.
Jeff, pull one of those seats up. All right. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for being here tonight. As a part of tonight's Rahway City Council meeting, one of the key topics before us is the future of our drinking water system and the possible sale of the city's water utility to an outside water company. This is an issue that affects every household, every business, and every family in Rahway. Over the past year, we have conducted extensive research into the condition of our water system and what it will take to keep it safe, reliable, sustainable for decades to come. That work has included engineering reviews and a financial analysis of our water system, and a close examination of how other municipalities have approached similar challenges, including communities that have evaluated the sale of their system to experienced regulated water companies and what lessons can be applied to Rahway. Tonight's presentation is grounded in that research and focus on a potential sale of the Rahway water utility. It is important to emphasize from the outset that no decision has been finalized, and any sale would require approval by voters through a public referendum. This process depends on public input, careful evaluation, and transparency. At its core, this decision is about safety, reliability, affordability, and a long-term sustainability of a system that delivers water to our homes. First and foremost, this is about water quality and safety. Delivering clean, safe drinking water and maintaining confidence in its quality is non-negotiable. Our goal is to ensure that the water we provide continues to meet all state and federal standards, both today and as those standards evolve in the future. That requires constant monitoring, clear communication, and ongoing investment. Regulated water utility companies operate under strict state oversight and structured to manage these responsibilities across many communities. We are also focused on the reliability of services. A modern city cannot function with frequent main breaks, pressure issues, or unplanned service disruptions. Much of Rahway's water infrastructure is decades old and under increasing strain. One option being evaluated is whether transferring responsibility for maintaining and upgrading that system to an experienced utility company could improve long-term reliability. That leads directly to the condition of our infrastructure. Engineering assessments indicate that significant investment will be required to keep the system safe, compliant, and dependable. The question before us is not whether investment is needed, but how soon it will be required, how it should be funded, and who is best equipped to manage it. Under a possible sale, a regulated utility that has the necessary resources available would assume responsibility for long-term capital improvements subject to state review and oversight. Another important consideration is how potential sale proceeds would be used if this proposal is ultimately approved. This is being evaluated as a long-term financial strategy, not a one-time transaction. Potential uses could include reduction of debt, investment in other critical infrastructure, or helping stabilize taxes and fees over time. We have studied how other municipalities have approached this and are carefully considering what option would be most appropriate for Rahway. Transparency and accountability have to be the backbone of this entire process, before, during, and after any decision is made. A potential sale would not change our obligation to protect residents and advocate for them. Oversight will continue through multiple layers: federal requirements under the Safe Drinking Water Act, state standards, the terms of any contract, and ongoing public reporting obligations that create clear lines of accountability. And we also have to be direct about affordability. Any path forward involves cost, because infrastructure upgrades and regulatory compliance require real investment. The good news is that we are meeting both federal and state requirements, and when standards differ, we operate to the stricter benchmark. Ongoing drought conditions have lowered flows in our watershed, and recent snow and ice events have driven up the amount of road salt washing into our raw water supply. Since December 12, 2025, we have relied partially or completely on water supplied through our interconnection. And as of today, our estimated cost for purchasing of this water has reached approximately $1.1 million. And that number will continue to rise for as long as these conditions persist and we remain on the interconnect. The question in front of us is how those necessary costs are carried over time. The key question before us is whether the city should continue to carry all long-term financial and operational risks on its own, or whether selling the municipal water utility to a regulated water company, one that is legally obligated to invest in infrastructure and fund capital improvement projects, would allow us to shift those costs off of the city's balance sheet while providing stronger, long-term protections for our residents. If a sale moves forward, any buyer would be regulated by the New Jersey Board of Public Utilities and required to operate under BPU oversight and rules. Finally, this process depends on communication and trust. Residents deserve clear, accurate information, and that is why this conversation is happening here tonight, in front of the public. Our team has relied on engineers, financial advisors, legal counsel, and water industry professionals to provide independent analysis and to test assumptions as this evaluation continues. As you listen tonight, I ask you to keep these priorities in mind. Safe and reliable water, sustainable, well-maintained infrastructure, affordable rates over the long term, fiscal responsibility, transparency and accountability, and public participation at every step. At this time, our professional team will now walk you through the details of the proposal, the financial considerations, and the steps that are required to move forward. At this time, I will turn it over to our experts. Gentlemen?
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. Obviously, as the mayor said, this is meant to be open and transparent and have a discussion with everyone impacted. My name is Michael Willis. I am with T&M Associates, and as part of my role in this was to do the engineering analysis and provide guidance and recommendations throughout the entire process. And next slide. Come to the items that we're going to cover tonight. What has gone into the evaluation of the water system? How will the agreement be structured? What are the controls and potential benefits to the residents of Rahway? And what is the overall process and next steps? And again, as the mayor had mentioned and Bob had mentioned, the intention of this is to be fair and open, and this is just a recommendation intended to provide transparency into the process thus far, and in the end, Rahway residents will have that final vote. So first, what's in a water system? In this case, we have a treatment plant. We have storage throughout the system, 3 in total. We have water main services and valves. This is what brings finished water from the treatment plant to the customers. Fire hydrants throughout the system. Surface intake is what feeds this treatment plant currently, the Rahway River. And process components. This is everything inside the water treatment plant that is required to provide the treatment necessary to bring raw water into drinking water. Second, how old are the assets? And when you get into this, it's pretty cool in the history of Rahway, and it was pretty much a trendsetter for years to come. 1871, the city of Rahway placed their water system in service. That was part of the 95th legislature of the state of New Jersey. And part of their role here was to ensure pure and wholesome water for the residents of Rahway, which is, again, what we're here today to do. Filtration was installed in 1880. 1911, you had coagulation facilities installed. 100 years later, GIC was installed. And 2017, membrane treatment was installed. Again, when you take a look at the timeline, just take a look at the processes as they're added year after year after year. And the pictures down below, the GIC units are on the left, and the membranes are on the right. So again, we took a look at the age of the assets. We saw 1871 as the start of the city of Rahway system. Again, some of those items in there are going to be from 1871, 19th century infrastructure. Customer information, there's approximately 8,200 customers throughout the city of Rahway, and a total population of about 30,000 are serviced by this utility. Looking at the utility itself, again, it's a surface water treatment plant, and its source is the Rahway River. The design capacity is 7.7 million gallons per day, and generally operates around 3.7 million gallons per day. Going out again to the distribution system, this is again what brings that water out to the customers. There's approximately 96 miles of water main throughout this system, 8,200 services, 2,200 valves, and 769 fire hydrants. And those are all infrastructure that's being maintained year after year to ensure its safe operation. Storage tanks, finished water, there's 2 elevated tanks and 1 ground storage tank. And just something to point out in terms of the utility itself and the players involved. Obviously, this is owned by the City of Rahway. It's operated by Veolia. City of Rahway has an interconnect with Middlesex Water, and on average, the past 12 years, has bought 320,000 gallons per day. And then emergency interconnects with American Water and also Middlesex Water. So we took a look at the assets that are involved, what's included in a water system, how old they are, and now you take a look at what it takes to keep these systems running. Again, Rahway has an aging infrastructure. Again, we saw 19th century is when this was put in place. And the cost for maintaining infrastructure and replacement has only gone up. Since COVID, we've seen costs for labor and materials double, and that's the same that you see in your ShopRite or you're out shopping, and that's what we're going to see at the utility as well. In terms of the next 10 years and in terms of replacement work, water main replacement, close to $11 million. Finished water storage tank improvements, close to 7. Intake structure replacement, 4. And then reoccurring costs, customer meter replacement at 4 million, membrane replacement at 2, and then miscellaneous plant improvements and distribution improvements. And again, something to mention here is this $33 million of potential improvements are going to be at the cost of the 8,200 customers. They have to fund those improvements over the next 10 years. So again, what goes into the operational side of things? We looked at the capital, the improvements, now the operation. Veolia has an operational contract that has $5.5 to $6 million annually cost. That includes operations, maintenance, billing, and customer service. Other items that go into operational cost as well, utilities, electric, gas, communications. And then as you can see on the right, everyone's seen at home, electric bills continue to increase. That adds to the cost of running the system. PFAS change out, that's the granularly activated carbon that we use to remove PFAS, is about $1 million a year annually for replacement. Again, that's a cost that's going to occur every year, and that cost is going to continue to go up. Emergency expenditures, water main replacement, service line breaks, that's going to continue to happen. We saw the age of parts of this system at 1871. Other ones are a little younger, but overall, as the system gets older, you should expect more and more breaks. So more and more investment is needed to address that. And then bulk purchase with Middlesex Water. And as the mayor had mentioned, right now, you've been on Middlesex Water for about 2 months, and it's been a little over $1 million. So 6, again, this is going out of our control. What environmental factors could impact the raw water quality of the Rahway River? And I'm blocking this for some of you. Rahway River watershed map is here. Rahway's at the bottom. Everything flows downhill. We have communities in Middlesex, Union, and Essex draining into our area and into that Rahway River. And anything that happens upstream could potentially impact the water quality that's used to treat and make drinking water. So upstream issues will impact the city's water quality. PFAS, salt intrusion, as we've mentioned already. In 2022, there was a discharge of 1,4-dioxane in Delaware River, and that impacted 13 million customers on the other side of the state. Again, that's something that could impact Rahway too in the future. And again, drought conditions also impact the availability of the quality and quantity of water that we can use for treatment. PFAS, PFOA, PFOS are going to continue to be in the headlines. They're going to continue to be in our treatment. And again, the city currently spends about $1 million on GAC improvements or replacement. Sodium and chlorides from road salting operations throughout the watershed. Again, the treatment plant is not designed to remove that. And with that, continuing to increase the bulk purchase from Middlesex Water is needed. And then future MCLs through UCMR. EPA has a program out there. 30 compounds are issued every 5 years or sample into our water system to see if they exist there. These are compounds that are known to be dangerous to humans to consume. And from that, you'll get new treatment regulations out. And then again, microplastics, which everyone has heard of, and currently no treatment or MCLs are out there for at the moment. But that is something that's still in the news for us to think about coming in the future. So again, items we looked at as part of the evaluation and how is the agreement structured. Again, this is a recommendation to go out to bid. Decision has not been made yet. Any decision on that would be through referendum and the residents of Rahway. What went into the evaluation? Just summarize, reviewed the water system components, take a look at the condition and age, quantified the infrastructure that the City of Rahway maintains and owns, the capital improvements that would be needed, the operational costs throughout 10 years, and again, water quality concerns that we have out there with the environment. And then what would be included, and that was everything we saw on that first slide, those water system components that we discussed. Equipment, property, land, infrastructure associated with the drinking water utility, storage, and distribution. And again, how will the potential purchaser be evaluated? Purchase price, customer care experience, capital investment plan, qualifications and performance history, adherence to requirements, and any sale would have to be approved by the Board of Public Utilities. So going into what are the potential controls and benefits to the residents of the city. Again, the Board of Public Utilities would be the regulatory agency in charge of that purchaser taking over the utility, and just looking at their requirements and what they do. The law requires the board to ensure safe, adequate, and proper utility service at a reasonable rate for customers in New Jersey. They would be the entity providing regulatory overview of any agency or any company buying the utility. What we get from that, improved reliability of service, increased capital spend, and improvement, infrastructural renewal. Addressing existing and future water quality requirements. Again, as we saw with the Rahway River and the raw water quality that we have, potential future requirements are going to come down and need to be treated through this treatment plant. And the big one is expanding the customer base. So we go from the 8,200 customers needing to fund these improvements to a larger customer base. Municipal schools and buildings are proposed to have free water, and senior discount will continue for anyone enrolled up into the date of closing. So what are the controls and potential benefits continued? The current rate structure includes a 5% increase each year, and the proposed rate structure as part of this bid document includes 2 years at 0% and then 3% for 3 to 10 years, and just highlighted and summarized over here. Improved economies of scale. Again, the current rate that Rahway uses, it needs to be at that higher increase because there's only 8,200 customers paying for these improvements. When we get the larger customer base, we'll have more control of how the rates increase because there'll just be more customers for that cost. And again, private utilities have larger customer base, and just a sample of the private utilities throughout New Jersey include American Water with approximately 670,000 customers, Veolia with 260. Appreciate it. No, that's okay. Middlesex Water with 61,000, Aqua with 55, and again, the City of Rahway with 8,200. So in terms of what this would look like for the customers over the 10-year period, the blue line is the current Rahway rate structure, going out 5% to 2031, and proposed about 4% increase after that. And the gray line is what's proposed in the bid documents to be included by a potential purchaser. Overall, there's a $1,400 savings over 10 years, and about $140 a year for each customer. With that and the expanded customer base, accelerate capital improvements, even with savings, ensure operational excellence. Again, they're going to be held to high standards due to the BPU and the customers in the city. And then ensuring the highest water quality, which has been the deal from the get-go and from the 95th legislator, pure and wholesome water. And then the road forward, this is the next steps after this process today. If this goes out to bid, the decision has not been made quickly. This has been done over about a year. A group of 10 professionals working together, looking at potential concerns and going through the options. The final decision will be on the residents during referendum for vote. And now James is going to go through the process and next steps.
Hello? Oh, there it goes. Yes, next slide, please. Good evening, everyone. My name is Jim Spinarkle. I'm a partner with Waters, McPherson, McNeil, and Secaucus. We're special counsel to the city with connection with the water system. We've been involved here so far helping to kind of guide everyone through this process as well. I'm here now with the benefit of what Mike and the mayor had spoken about earlier, all the technical background and the information on the system. I'm here just kind of to take you through the potential timeline of what would happen next. As you look at the slide here, and I promise you this is much more succinct, it's only actually one slide, and that's the process. The good news about this process is it's laid out all by statute, so there's no deviation from the statute. It's exactly what the statute requires. Again, the process starts on February 2nd, as you can see here, but I think it's more important, as you've heard a couple of times so far today, to go down here to November 3rd, the general election, and again, that is where the city voters will have the ultimate decision on what happens here. Everything, again, as you've heard to this point, is really just a recommendation and analysis to try to help guide and inform that decision. So what we're here tonight to ask the council to do on February 2nd is to adopt a resolution that would simply authorize the publication of the bid package and to go out and start the process of receiving bids from potential buyers. Between February and March of 2026, there's requirements under the statute to publish it in the newspapers. As that's ongoing, there'll be a lot of things going on in the background in terms of question and answers, site visits with potential buyers, and it all leads up to an April 1st, 2026 target where we would open the bids. And that's when the analysis of what comes in, and that's really when more information becomes available to help start really informing the process. The goal would be to use the month of April to evaluate those bids, to make recommendations to the council and the administration and the professionals. As Mike said, and it was touched upon in all the other slides, obviously the price is something, and I think that's something that kind of gets lost a little bit sometimes, is that the price is coming into the city, but it's not just about the dollar amount. Obviously, there's a lot of other factors, as Mike had alluded to, that goes into this and showed on the slides. And the bid documents are very technical and very specific and require all of those things to be met. It's not just the highest price, it's the highest responsible bid, and the city has discretion to evaluate every aspect of this and make a decision that makes sense for you, the residents. Once that recommendation is reached, and again, at that point, it's still just a recommendation, that recommendation would be presented to the council, and the hope would be that the council would continue the process by adopting that recommendation, and that process is done by an ordinance, which we would anticipate, assuming we get to that point, would be in May and June of 2026. Again, going back down to the bottom, the November 3rd date is really what controls, and the goal would be to have all that finished by August 1st so that we're well ahead of the time to have that question put on the general election ballot for the referendum. And again, in November, that's when the vote would be held by the public and the ultimate decision would be made. Thereafter, again, you can see at the bottom, assuming again that if the vote is in fact yes to approve the sale of the water system, from there we would finalize the terms of the transaction, the documents with the successful bidder. As Mike mentioned, the whole sale still has to be approved by BPU. There's various processes that go on after that. And we would always say approximately 10 to 12 months from there is when you could anticipate, if everything goes smoothly, that the closing would happen. But obviously, like any transaction, that nothing's set 100% in stone, but that's a reasonable, at least estimated time frame. So with that in mind, I will turn it back over, I believe, to the mayor. Same way to turn it off.
So I want to thank Jim and Mike for that detailed analysis of our water system and the timeline that it's going to take moving forward. I want to thank my professional team. I want to thank everyone who is here tonight participating in this evening. Tonight's presentation reflects over a year of careful research, engineering review, financial analysis, and lessons from other municipalities facing the same questions. And it all comes back to one responsibility: making sure Rahway's drinking water system remains safe, reliable, and sustainable for decades to come. It's important for me to reiterate that no final decision has been made, and that the final decision does not rest with me or the City Council. This is only the first step towards the sale of the water company system, which will require voter approval, your approval, through a referendum. As we continue this process, our focus remains clear: maintaining the highest quality of water and safety levels, along with affordability, long-term sustainability, fiscal responsibility, and transparency. We will continue to share information, ask hard questions, and make sure residents are fully informed before anything moves forward. Thank you for being a part of this important process and for caring about Rahway's future. Thank you. At this time, I would invite council back up to the dais, and we will reconvene the meeting.
I have one, but yeah, I'm still mic'd. Just trying to face everyone. Sorry.
Where's the least awkward place for me to stand?
There isn't one, just stay there.
All right. So I'm going to first start by saying thank you to the mayor for the opening and closing, to you, Mike, and James with the detailed presentation, as our mayor said as well. This time, I'm going to ask for the opportunity to ask questions along with my council colleagues, and I think I will give my council vice president the courtesy of opening up if you would like to, sir.
Thank you, Council President. Thank you for the presentation. In the presentation, I did notice, and it was answered, but I actually just want you to reiterate why try to do this now, right? So it was somewhat answered, but can you just?
Yeah, there's a lot going on at the moment in terms of evolving regulations that are incur with additional costs and an aging infrastructure. So you're at the point where it's going to be in the need for additional capital spend to keep the utility within your hands, more than the 8,200 residents can potentially afford. So at this moment, with the cost increase that we've seen since COVID, it's really brought it to light that keeping this in your hands is going to be cost prohibitive.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Newberry?
Thank you, Council President. You said during your presentation that there are entities that will be eligible for free water supply. Can you clarify or confirm which entities that will be and for how long?
That would be all municipal buildings and all school buildings are clearly listed out in the bid document. I can't list them out off the top of my head, my apologies. But it'd be for the extent of the contract for their whole purchase.
So if we entered into a contract, if we entered into a contract, that contract, for the length of that contract, the schools would be eligible for free water?
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Brown, was that you? Councilwoman Miles, would you like to ask a question?
Yes, thank you. A question about the third to the last slide about that. You showed the difference in the rate structure, like the 10-year rate structure, the current structure, and the proposed newer structure. Could you explain why it's significantly lower than new structure, despite the fact that we have, a really old infrastructure?
Absolutely. Yeah, what you saw at the bottom of that slide were the number of customers that the purchaser may have available to them, and their costs would be spread across additional customers in the end. So instead of 8,200 needing to afford $33 million, you have upwards of 267,000 customers that would need to pay for these improvements and assist.
So that would be like the 1 to 3%. Was it 3%?
That was 0%, and then for 8 years, 3% increase.
Okay.
That was their proposed rate structure.
A quick question to the members in the chamber. Can everyone hear
Yes, sorry.
Okay, just curious. Okay, great, thank you. Councilwoman Eastman?
Yes. What, if any, are the negatives to selling the water utility?
Right now, you have autonomy. You own it, so there would be a third party involved with the sale. So it would be reliant on the Board of Public Utilities to protect your interest, and this council here to make sure they're vocal in protecting the residents as well.
I know in the slide we talked about a senior discount. Now, for the seniors who don't know about that, and how do they apply for that?
That I'm gonna have to pass off to someone else. There are 41 residents currently as part of the program, and I don't know what the age limit is to sign up. But again, that is gonna be available all the way up to the date of closing, which we saw is 10 or 12 months after a referendum is passed.
Thank you. The criteria is if a senior citizen is eligible for deduction in taxes, they're eligible for the deduction as the water as well.
Thank you, Frank.
Thank you.
Yes, Councilwoman Newberry?
Thank you so much. I'm sorry, I have one more question. So ultimately, what happens if on Election Day in November, the voters decide not to sell the water utility? What is the impact on the city of Rahway?
The city of Rahway would want to go through a very diligent rate structure analysis, because in that case, the 8,200 residents are going to have to fund the 33 million that we showed in our slides, and that's more infrastructural renewal. That's not optimization, that's not improvements. So if another PFAS element comes down the river, there's going to be the need for tens of millions of dollars of additional investment that those residents would have to fund.
You're going to have to spend that too. Point of order, sir. Point of order. You'll get this.
It's just a matter of how many customers it's spread across, 8,200 versus the larger number of residents that a private utility would have.
I guess I'll have a question regarding that particular subject. So there was a slide that showed the capital expenditures over the course of 10 years being $33 million. Now, I did a little bit of math, and what I came up with is that it's going to cost the 8,200 payers of this utility approximately $4,000 throughout the course of the 10 years, or $400 plus per year in addition. And that's just capital expenditures. That's not your regular rate of what you're getting monthly. That's individualized. My question to you, with the increase of food cost, home cost, just everything in general, what we've seen, is this a conservative measure that you came up with, or is this something that could potentially change if we have, say, another 2024, 2025 version of this economy?
It could go up. I mean, that's what we're looking at now. The stake of tariffs have caused everything to go up pretty much, anything being imported in. So there's potential for that to balloon up as the years go by.
My next two questions have to do more so with the standards, and I think the mayor did address it, and I think you might have addressed it as well, but I think it's important. So as far as the environmental standards that are required, will these remain the same? Is with a purchase of a water utility, would the same standards be implemented? I guess, and while you're answering that, also, how are emergencies addressed? Will it be like, who's going to be addressing like a water main break? We get alerts to our phones all the time when there's a water main break, and we see more of them. So would we see, I guess, a difference in the response time?
Yeah, so the first question had to do with the standards. Right now, you have a standard you have to meet. Owning your water system, they would have the same standard they have to meet. That's Safe Drinking Water, EPA, DEP, and Board of Public Utilities. You don't have the board on your side, but they would have that extra element of the board also checking their operations going forward. In terms of emergency contact or emergency repairs, it would be, they would have staff on site. They would have emergency contractors that would come do the repairs. You would probably see the same trucks that you have now for you going to do those repairs in the future. That contractor is just around in this area and does emergency repairs for most of the utilities.
Thank you, Michael. Councilwoman Newberry?
I just want to either clarify or ask. It's my understanding that we currently hold debt on water infrastructure that earlier configuration does not account for that debt, nor does it account for the increased interest on that debt. So those numbers would actually increase over time if the residents were continued to be responsible for. Okay,
Yes.
thank
Now,
you.
right now, there's $32 million of debt associated with the water utility.
Council President.
Yes, Councilwoman Miles.
I'm jumping from Council Newbury's question, so that in the presentation, or actually Mayor Jacobi, you mentioned the reduction in debt, the potential for reduction in debt. Would that include the debt that Councilwoman Newbury just...
That would be the first item paid off if there was a purchase and a sale.
Thank you. Any other questions from my council colleagues? Very good. So thank you for your questions. At this time, we're going to open this up to the public. This is a question and answer portion of the meeting on just the presentation, okay? So if anyone from the public would like to come forward and ask questions, now is your opportunity. I think mentioned earlier that we're allotting 3 minutes for you to say anything you have to say regarding this water presentation. And then later in the meeting, you will have an opportunity to address the regular agenda. So, sir, if you can state your first, last name, and address.
Yes, Dennis Swear, 179 West Milton Avenue. I'm a union steam fitter. In fact, I've even worked on the construction of a water treatment plant in Short Hills. So I do know a little bit about this industry. And I'm sorry, Dennis Swear, 179 West Milton Avenue.
Thank you.
If you didn't hear me. And I am a union steam fitter with Local 475, chartered out of Newark, New Jersey. I've worked at water treatment plants. I've constructed them. I know a little bit about the industry. I wonder how outside people and a third party, who we will now have a seat on a board in which we can defend our interests, will be able to better serve the independence of the Rahway municipal water supply. To me, it seems like, yes, the CapEx that we're looking at is very large. But I don't know if, within my head, I can justify a price on the independence of our water supply. The issues that were brought up regarding infrastructure are things that these gentlemen will have to solve with their company as well. And I think that we know, based on industries of scale, that these economies of scale savings really never filter down to the customer. I wonder how many of those new customer bases are AI data centers building all across this country and sucking up water at a rate faster than any individual citizen can use it. I also wonder what must be the largest utility user in the city of Rahway, the world headquarters of Merck Pharmaceuticals, has to say about water usage in this town. Within all that, I think that the council would be foolhardy to not seriously consider the independence of Rahway's municipal water supply quite seriously when taking the idea of going out to bid and selling this asset to someone else just because it does have debt and needs to be solved. I also wonder about the people who are doing the labor when it does get sold, if they will be my union brothers or if it will be double-breasted companies who might have a union
1 minute
wing
warning.
on one side and a non-union wing on others sides, so that they can pass the savings onto a larger corporation, but at the expense of the very people who are union brothers in this community. I don't really have much else to say about that. I think it's foolhardy to sell such a valuable asset, especially as an old world is dying and a new one is struggling to be born. I didn't come here to say this tonight. You'll hear from me again. I apologize for my interjection earlier. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening. Good evening.
Before you go, Mr. Robinson, so you're up here now, so I'm going to actually go from left to right next time, but while you're up here, you may address, and then we'll switch it from side to side.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, Jeff Robinson, 244 Stanton Street in Rahway. First off, I'd like to say that privatization of any water facility is a pretty serious matter with some big implications, both good and bad, mostly bad. And there are examples of municipalities throughout the country, some in New Jersey, who have privatized their water facilities and later regretted it. I don't know if T&M looked at those towns. You got to remember, these companies that run water facilities are for-profit companies. What they are doing is they're making profits. That's their first priority, and their first priority is to their stockholders and to making profit, not to necessarily to the municipalities, water facility that they run, or to the residents of those towns. Ultimately, the water and the water facilities belong to the people of Rahway. The facility doesn't belong to Veolia, they only run it. Doesn't belong to administration, it doesn't belong to this council. It belongs to the people of the city. So at the minimum, if the city's seriously considering this, there should be a series of multiple meetings with residents of the city to educate them and to get input. Because ultimately, like you say, it's the residents who are going to have to approve this. And just to address, the cost of upgrading and maintaining the infrastructure, $33 million, maybe more. That's not unique to Rahway. That throughout New Jersey, we have an aging, very much aging, water system infrastructure, and almost every town is dealing with it. We're not unique. Not every town is saying, okay, well, we'll just privatize our
1 minute warning.
Thank you. We'll just privatize our water system. That's the easy way out. Up front, you might get some money. But the big question is, after that 10-year agreement is over, what's going to happen then?
Thank you.
Good evening. Give you your whole name and address and all that stuff?
Yes, please.
Okay, good evening. Quane Palmer Chambliss of Plainfield, New Jersey, formerly lifelong member of Rahway, New Jersey. I too am here about the water situation. While I am not the president of the Rahway NAACP and cannot speak for them, I am a member of the New Jersey State Conference NAACP Environmental Justice Committee. And the NAACP nationally, as well as state, is very clear on our position when it comes to the privatization of water. Water is a basic human right. The gentleman spoke before me, said all of the concerns about costs. And one thing that was not also talked about was disconnection rates. Rahway is majority black and brown community. I look around this room, I look around the people who are making decisions about what to do with that water, and nobody looks like me. We have already put bids out. We're paying people to do studies and evaluations on the water. By the way, thank you for your huge and generous donations that you make to the Democratic Committee of Rahway, which is probably why you're able to stand up here today and present before us. I'm just wondering how much money you're making and the people didn't even vote on it. And I'm wondering how many people sitting making decisions about what happens to marginalized community and 60% of the population here being black or brown. Where is our representation at the table? Who speaks for us? What organizations did you work with? When you're putting out bids, are you making sure that there's room for organizations of color or led by people of color to even do this work? Or is this really all about the campaign donators that donate to the Union County Democrats, the Democrats at large, and the Rahway Democrats getting an opportunity to get an investment back on the money that they put out to make sure that we have people who will vote in your best interest? I do not understand you guys going out on bids and moving forward as though the people have said yes to this. And so another question is, thank you, if the people say no, how much money have we spent paying these people for the people to ultimately say no. Who's really getting paid by this, and who's really going to benefit from this, and who's really going to lose? And I bet you it's going to be people that look like you and me, Jeff. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to allow someone to my left to approach the microphone if you have a question or comment. Thank you.
Kevin Kilty Gartland, 1245 Main Street. I'm here to warn against the council's proposal to sell the water utility. Water privatization is not new, and it seldom ends well for residents. It generally keeps rates flat for a couple of years, only for the new profit-motivated utility to jack up rates once the honeymoon is over. A sale of the water utility will benefit the council for a little while, but we'll all be paying for it not too long from now. And the problems with our water supply will only get worse with further profit incentive to cut corners. We already suffer from the profit motives of Veolia, the company which contributed to the Flint water crisis, and a full sale, whether to Veolia or to another company like New Jersey American Water, would only make things worse. More generally, I question the council's motives for selling the water utility. For a city that likes to present a rosy financial picture, a sale and leaseback of a major and essential utility belies that image. Sale leaseback schemes only make sense as a measure of last resort for a heavily indebted government entity that needs cash immediately to get on a sound financial footing. If the motive for a sale leaseback is simply to avoid having to raise revenue or make cuts to the city's wasteful contracts in an election year, then a sale leaseback is a bad idea, and a better idea would be to take a close look at expensive city contracts with donors to the Rahway Democratic Committee. If the motive for a sale leaseback is because Rahway is in truly dire financial straits, what have the mayor and council been hiding from us? If this decision has been under consideration for over a year, why is this the first we're all hearing of it? Finally, I want to note that this council, which is pushing a water utility sale based in part on stated concerns about water quality, is the very same council which routinely dismisses concerns about water quality, which is bullshit. We all know the water is salty around here. Why are we selling it and trusting some for-profit company with it instead of cutting waste to invest in upgrading our infrastructure ourselves? If the council proceeds to a referendum, we should follow the example of Gloucester Township down in South Jersey, which voted to reject the sale of the municipal water system to New Jersey American Water this past November. Thank you, and to my neighbors, I look forward to fighting this dangerous water privatization alongside you, both in the referendum and in the Democratic primaries. To the council, I look forward to my city-sponsored boxing match.
Good evening. Andrew Garcia Phillips, 1470 Campbell Street. I appreciate the presentation and all the information. I just want to point out that for most of the things that you mentioned about the compliance and the infrastructure needs, nothing really changes with any of those if we sell the system. All the same problems will exist. We still need to invest in infrastructure. We still need to meet the same compliance standards, and we still need to pass those costs on to customers. Except now we will also need to make a profit. And they will also, whoever buys this, will also expect to make back whatever money they give us up front. No company is coming in here expecting to generously give more and take less. They will do their homework, and they will expect to profit. It kind of surprises me that after a year of research, you're hanging your hat on this idea that there will be an expanded customer base that will pay for Rahway infrastructure. This doesn't make sense. Maybe you can explain it more. The idea, maybe if we have 5 towns that we're with, that some of Rahway's infrastructure will be paid for by those other towns. But the same is true when they have infrastructure needs. There's no free lunch here. There's no magic money being produced. And I kind of can't believe this is the best you came up with after a year. What confuses me even more is that the city, for years, has used the water utility to structurally create a surplus that comes back into the city budget. For many, many years, this has been your setup. Every year, about $900,000 of surplus is taken from the water utility and put into the city budget, which makes the city budget look better than it otherwise would. So if you sell the water utility, now you're going to have a hole in the city budget as well, which I guess you'll have to raise taxes or cut services. But more importantly, if we've had a surplus in the water utility every year, going back
1 minute
at least
warning.
10 years, why is there all this deferred maintenance? Why haven't we been using that money to fix the problems that now you say are cost prohibitive to fix? That doesn't make much sense at all. The experience of other towns, I think, is something that we need to talk about, and I know other people mentioned it, and I have more to say about that. But also the involvement of a private company, even if it's regulated by BPU. I mean, ask Bayonne about what's happened there under these circumstances. Their costs have gone up about 50%. A study by American Prospect Magazine said that in New Jersey, towns that have private water companies pay 79% more than those who have public-owned water companies. So I don't know if you can answer any of that, especially this reliance on the idea of expanded customer base.
3 minutes.
Yeah, no, it's in terms of, in terms of the expanded customer base and rates, again, you're correct. The BPU would be the one entity that reviews and approves any rate increases. There is a shared cost between all their customers, and that does go both ways. But you're expecting that expanded customer base to also fund yours without additional rate increases above what you're already at planned at your 5% per year. With what we're seeing, you're probably going to have increases well above 5% per year if it was to stay within Rahway.
Thank you.
Alan Levy, 254 Oak Street, Rahway. I want to thank you for admitting that there's going to be rate increases. I'd like to tell this council that even though there's about 25% Republicans in this city, I am one of them, I want the council to go forward with this idea. You know why? Because it's going to motivate the entire city to come out and oppose it. In reality, the studies have shown that, according to nonprofit organization Food and Water Watch, that after privatization, for the typical household, privately owned water utility service increased 59%. People are going to love to pay higher water bills when this happens, or if this happens. They're going to, and as a Republican, oh boy, we get to argue, this is not the financially or fiscal responsible thing to do. So congratulations in getting more. Hey, remember the library debate that happened a couple years ago? You're going to see even more people come out. So I want to thank you for helping get community involvement and try to oppose that their water bills are going to go up. In addition, you also have organizations like the League of Conservation Voters and the Sierra Club. You guys are all Democrats. Those are credible Democratic left-wing organizations. They all strenuously oppose this type of plan. So you're going to love seeing opposition from both the right and the left come out and say, no, don't privatize the water system. And, Quinay, you got to be careful criticizing the pay-for-play system. Renaud Coughlin and Michello, they donated over $50,000.
Point of order.
Oh, now he's going to stop me from speaking. You got to love it, because you hate free speech. You hate free speech. I know. You hate criticism.
1 minute
I'm just
warning.
speaking out against how you guys are monetizing government.
My ears
You
hurt right
guys
now.
are-
Can you lower your tone, please? Thank you.
Are you going to tone police me? Wow. This is how you guys operate. You monetize government. You threaten any citizen who dare criticize. We had a council member last month threaten to hit a critic. And now you're going to
Council
shut me
President,
up.
the speaker
You're
is
gonna
out of
try to
order.
Shut me up, David.
The speaker is out of order.
Remember what your firm did in Edison?
This is
because I'm
this section is specifically
criticizing
to discuss
the
Okay.
monetary system
sale of the
which
water
you-
utility.
Mr. Levy.
doing.
Mr. Levy, point of order, okay? Point of order.
Is he a member of the council?
He is our attorney.
They haven't said anything.
lower your voice.
I have a First Amendment right. You're going to chat. You're going to impose my First Amendment rights.
You can have a discussion. He asked you to lower
There's
your
no
voice.
discussion. This is public.
Council
speech.
President, his time is up.
The time is up, sir.
Public meeting
Your time is up, sir.
Gives me the opportunity to make this, and you're shutting us down.
You can speak later outside if you like, sir. This is it. You're done. You're done.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for exposing yourself.
Okay, okay. Thank you, Mayor. So I want to bring up a couple, okay, listen, this is a council chamber, okay? I'm not going to remind people about the quorum right here. You can escort him out, please, thank you. He's already used profanity. Have a good day. Would anybody else that would like to speak about the water presentation?
How's it going? Jim Betts, 1124 Pierpont Street. The first thing I'd like to start with is that water is the most essential human resource. And as we enter an age of AI data centers, the demands on that resource are increasing by an extraordinary amount. What my concerns are is that if the public utility that we have is sold to a private organization, my question is, who is going to be responsible to make the decisions of where that is going to go? Is it going to go to the companies that are looking to give water to the AI data centers, or are they going to want to give it to the people who previously owned that utility? I think Mr. Levy said, on average, a private water company charged 59% more than public systems. There was a 2022 study from Cornell University, which surveyed 500 of the largest community water systems in the U.S. It showed that after controlling for all other factors, private ownership is the single biggest factor associated with higher water bills. The average annual water bill was $144 higher than publicly owned systems. According to the NPO Food and Water, same that Mr. Levy had mentioned, private ownership also played a larger role in higher costs than did drought or aging infrastructure. Privatization can increase the cost of financing water projects by 50 to 150%. Furthermore, the publicly owned systems do a better job of protecting lower income individuals. They concluded that privatization is a ploy to mask underlying problems and delays hard decisions for fiscal sustainability. It increased the long-term cost on households and local businesses. I didn't hear anything mentioned in the presentation that there are also possibility for getting federal grants to help with the infrastructure improvements. The sale will lead to a management company having a monopoly over
1 minute
Rahway
warning.
water. And who will keep, aside from the board, that company accountable? The EPA is holding people accountable, right? But the EPA has been gutted by the current federal administration. So it doesn't really give me a lot of confidence that that is somebody to rely on in the current climate. The proposal mentions a 10-year price lock, but the price increase in many municipalities are voted on by the board. After that 10-year increase, what are we likely to see? What the data shows is that those companies then increase the rates at 3 times the rate of inflation. When the public owns a service, the public are the first priority. When a private business owns it, the first priority is profits. Thank you, and that looks like that's my time.
Thank you, sir. Anybody? You may approach, sir.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Charlie Cradaville. I am the Central Jersey organizer with Food and Water Watch, and I appreciate the opportunity to address you today about this. I'll start with a question or two. Has the administration or the professionals that you all hired met with or spoken with any of the private water companies that were named in the presentation to discuss the proposal? No, you haven't had any discussions with Veolia or Middlesex about this, okay. I'll continue by saying that, as many folks have brought up, water privatization inevitably leads to residents paying more and getting less. And the reason for that is simple. When you sell to a private corporation, they have a plan to make back all their money and then some. Corporations like Veolia, formerly known as Suez, are not in this business for the public good. They are in it to make a profit for their shareholders. And they work with Wall Street investors to take advantage of cash-strapped local governments and entice them into selling or leasing off their water assets. But this is, of course, a recipe for disaster. Profits should not be the priority when it comes to providing water services to people. But that's exactly what happens when private companies take over local systems. So tonight, I am asking this council to hold off on approving the resolution before you, to give you time to meet with advocates and experts like Food and Water Watch's Mary Grant, to learn more about the pitfalls of privatization and why there are better options for the city of Rahway. Would you be willing to do that, Council President?
I can't speak for my council colleagues at this time. We'll allow everybody else to approach with your concerns. I do want to remind that ultimately the decision lies with the voters. So whether or not there's even a passed resolution tonight, it's up to anybody and everybody who's willing to vote November 3rd this year. It's not up to us in order to make sure this happens. It's a matter of not if this goes to bid. It's that simple.
Respectfully, there are costs associated with that process, and you can avoid those costs or delay those costs by holding off tonight. So I'd respectfully request the council to do the right thing, to do more research, and to reach out to advocacy organizations like those that have been named tonight to get more information before you commit the city down this path. And in closing, I'll just say that the way that this is going to ultimately be defeated is if people in the community work together with organizations like ours. So I do have a petition here tonight. I encourage anybody who's against the privatization of the water system to sign our petition and begin building the movement we need to stop this from happening. Just in case the council does proceed, we need the people to stand up and say no to selling Rahway's water.
Thank you. Would there be anybody else that'd like to have a question in regards to the water presentation? There's 3 minutes.
Good evening. Can you hear me? Amy Garcia Phillips, 1470 Campbell Street. So I would like to reiterate what many of the other Rahway residents have mentioned today. Privatization leads to higher costs and higher bills. On average, private water companies charge 59% more than public systems, and private ownership is the single biggest factor associated with higher water bills, as has been stated. As you know, our private company, Veolia, that runs our water system is the same company that was implicated in the lead and water crisis in both Flint, Michigan, and Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So you can't always trust the water company to do the right thing, even if they are being regulated by different state and federal entities. You mentioned that there's $33 million of infrastructure and work that needs to be done over the next several years, and that would be divided between 8,200 residents. But that work needs to be done no matter what. And we are going to, as taxpayers, as you are all taxpayers, we are all going to pay that, plus the profit. So a private company is not going to just do it at cost, right? They need to make their money back, so they are going to add profit to that. So we're still going to be paying for that. And as was mentioned, there's aging infrastructure throughout all of New Jersey. And that means that should another town have a catastrophic water emergency, we are also going to be paying for that. So it doesn't necessarily, it could bring our prices down, but it probably won't, because we will be paying for everyone else's infrastructure, infrastructure repairs. And why are we just not doing the work? If we knew that this was infrastructure that needed to be done, this should be the priority. And we should be spending our money fixing our water system instead of trying to
1 minute
sell
warning.
it out. And if we do sell it out and the prices go up, who do we talk to about that? Now we can talk to you, our council people. You are our elected officials, and you should be listening to what your constituents are saying. But a private water company won't be listening, and they will just raise the prices, and we will have no consequences for them. So please reconsider this vote tonight. You don't need to say yes to putting this out to bid. Clearly, people are upset about this. Clearly, we think it's not a great idea, and I think you should also reconsider and not waste a year of time not fixing our infrastructure and going along with this process. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to speak on the water presentation that is not spoken? Seeing none, I'm going to make, excuse me? She snuck around.
Couldn't see in front, Jim.
Hi, Marlene Ham, 286 West Inman Avenue. The presentation today, I know you said it was going to be available online. Is there any other venues that this information is going to be available to the citizens about the privatization of this presentation from tonight? How are citizens going to know about it?
It'll be on our city's website, it'll be on certain social media platforms, and it will be, broadcast throughout Channel 34 as well, if we can
Okay,
do so.
that's great. I think it's a very interesting subject. Like everyone knows infrastructure is terrible. Obviously, the bridge on by UC Pack is still not fixed from Ida. We know water is a problem, but privatizing water brings water out of the hands of the people and basically just creates a system of profit. Right now, if we can vote anyone out because water's private or water's a public entity. I'm completely against it. I don't think it should be moved forward. All these bids and quotes cost the city money. Let's just get started on fixing the problems that are already in the city versus sending it out. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to speak regarding the water presentation? Seeing none, I'm going to make a motion in a second to close this public portion.
So moved.
Newberry?
Second.
Eastman? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Eastman?
Yes.
Jablisco?
Yes.
Miles?
Yes.
Mohica?
Yes.
Montestioka?
Yes.
Newberry?
Yes.
Parsons absent. Brooks?
Yes. All right, now to approval of minutes. I may have a motion and a second to approve the January 12th, 2026 regular minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Eastman?
Yes.
Jablisco?
Yes.
Miles?
Yes.
Mohica?
Yes.
Montestioka?
Yes.
Newberry?
Yes.
Parsons absent. Brooks?
Yes. Do we have any reports from our council committees, Ms. Capone?
No council committee reports.
All right, Ms. Capone, do we have any communications from our city officers or the bill payment list?
You have received the payment of bills and the fire report for the month of January.
All right, thank you. Mayor, do you have any comments this evening?
Yes, thank you, Council President. I first off want to start by thanking the Rahway DPW, especially the crew that was with me yesterday into the evening, clearing our schools so we had safe drop-off and pickup zones for our children. I want to thank the parents and the residents for your patience and understanding. We got hit with a huge storm. It takes time to move snow of that amount, and we will continue snow removal this week and throughout the winter. Please check the city's social media for a list of streets and days we will be on those streets. We ask you to please move your cars from those streets on the days DPW will be conducting its snow removal process. I'd also like to invite everyone to my State of the City on February 26th at the UC PAC, 7 p.m., where I will lay out our vision for Rahway's future. Congratulations to the elected officers of the NAACP and newly elected President Cynthia Goodman. I had the opportunity and the honor to attend their introduction ceremony over the weekend with Councilman Brooks, and it was a pleasure to be around such extraordinary leaders in our community. And finally, happy Black History Month, everyone. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll definitely take that Happy Black History Month to everybody. This is Administrator Matt Pukovich. Are there any reports or updates from the administration?
I believe the Chief of Staff, Mr. Landolfi, wanted to make a comment.
Mr. Landolfi, the mic is yours. The mic is yours. Yeah. The mic is yours.
That's why they don't let me do this anymore.
You see what I did there, right?
Is that active? I want to touch on one resolution, but just on a couple of, and I'm not looking to get into a debate here, but there were a couple of items that were said during the after the presentation. I think we need to clarify. First is this is the first step, and the work that has been done in the analysis really is the work that then goes into preparing the specifications. So those specifications are really part and parcel of all the work that's been done. So there is not a great deal of added expense at this point in time moving forward with the resolution that's on this evening. Putting that aside, it is not a sale leaseback. I don't know where that idea came from. It's not a sale leaseback. So just dismiss that comment. Just a couple of substantive items, though. The first is there was an apparent assumption by most of the speakers tonight that the plant that is currently utilized to treat our water supply will be the supply going forward. That is not necessarily the case. And Mike identified we think four potential bidders. There may be others. 3 of those 4 we don't think would continue to use the plant. They have alternative sources of water. So that the operating costs and the capital cost of maintaining that structure would not be encountered by a third-party operator at that point in time. So a great deal of those operating expenses and a large portion, as a matter of fact, a very, very large portion of the operating expense and a substantial portion of the capital expense would go away. We would be paying a bulk water rate to a supplier. However, those operating and properly turned CapEx expense would not be there. The last point is when people talk about the public ownership of water, and we've talked a lot about this internally. We're not talking about a pristine reservoir in North Jersey that is fed with runoff from the mountains. We're talking about, in effect, the Rahway River estuary that is the furthest, most downstream point in that river system. And the difficulties and the potential difficulties that are present when you're treating water especially in drought conditions, which we currently have. But at the end of that river system, present unique problems. Most water systems, especially municipal water systems, and we're kind of in the weeds on this now, but you really have three sources of water, right? You have reservoirs, you've got wells below ground, and you have free-flowing sources. We have a free-flowing source. We don't have a pristine reservoir system. We don't have water that's deep into the aquifer, that it's been filtered down through the earth. What we have is a free-flowing source of water that is at the bottom of a heavily populated area that has huge potential for contaminants to enter into that system, making it very difficult, expensive, and problematic to treat. And nobody brought that up tonight, and I think it's fair that when you're considering moving forward, that you factor that into your equation and some of the other misstatements that were made. And there were several. I don't think we have to get into all those tonight. I think as we go on, we can correct that record. But those were a couple of glaring ones that I thought we needed to get on the record. One other one resolution I am going to touch on. There is a resolution before you tonight for, in effect, for the sale of our cell tower antennas. As part of our analysis of the water system and those assets, there was a determination made that, because, let me put it differently, we do have cell towers, antennas, on some of the water utility facilities. And looking in that, we came to the conclusion that it made sense to try to monetize the value of those leases, to sell them. There are third parties that will come in and take that, purchase those leases. In effect, we did a present value.
I appreciate it. You guys have a good night.
We did a present
Thank you,
value
sir.
analysis.
Sir. Okay, sir. Have a good night. Thank you. I'll see you next month. That.
Don't let ice in this city.
As I was saying, Council President.
Thank you, Mr.
We did a
Landolfi.
present value analysis of the value of those leases, came to the conclusion it made more sense to sell those leases and take that revenue as a one-time shot, as opposed to continue with the current situation where we lease them over a prolonged period of time. And that present value analysis was very favorable in terms of that sale.
Thank you so much. At this time, I'm going to ask Mr. Pukovich, will you provide a summary of the ordinance and resolutions that are listed on tonight's agenda?
Thank you, Council President. I'll take care of that for you.
Council. Excuse me, Mr. Pukovich. Council.
I'm sorry.
Council President, sorry.
Yes.
I have additional questions about the water. Should I ask it now or should I?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Or those questions would be directed to Mr. Landolfi or to?
Mr. Landolfi or Michael. I guess. Mr.
If you feel that Mr.
Landolfi.
Landolfi can answer your question, I will allow you to ask that question.
That'd be great. So I have just 3 questions. What is the? I know you've spoken with Michael before. What is the time frame of life for our current water treatment plant predicted? If we continue going on with our treatment plant, running it as normal, considering that we have the Rahway River, like the predicted life expectancy of our treatment plant, bearing in mind that it's coming, the water that's running through it is no.
Yeah. So Mr. Landolfi, if there's a question that you think will be better addressed in a different time, I think we can do that. I mean, these are questions that we want to make sure that are in the interest of misinformation. We want to make sure that whatever's answered is going to be answered appropriately. So Mr. Landolfi is very capable of answering questions, but he doesn't claim to be a subject matter expert. He's just someone who's well researched. So we'll pause on that. Thank you, though, Councilwoman. Mr. Puckovich.
Thank you, Council President. O-7-26 is an ordinance amending Chapter 177. What this does is it reduces the cost of TCOs and it eliminates the cost for solar systems that's charged by fire. 0826 is an ordinance amending land use legislation Chapter 421. This has to do with the cannabis businesses. This allows for signage that is not just affixed to the building. They can have a sign on the street now as well. Moving on to resolutions, AR 5326. This is accepts and adopts the Central Jersey Municipal Joint Insurance Fund's 2025 Safety Incentive Program. What that does is it reduces our premium if we meet certain benchmarks and encourages safer work for our employees. AR 5426. This is authorizing, as Mr. Landolfi touched upon, the sale of the water tower associated with the sale of the cell towers attached to the water tower. AR 5526. This is the resolution that we heard our presentation and comments from. It is deeming it advisable to consider the sale of the Rahway water utility and authorizing the advertisement of bids for the sale of the same. It's pretty self-explanatory. AR 5626, resolution authorizing shared service agreement with Linden for a diesel mechanic. This is a great opportunity for us to partner with a neighbor. The governor has put an extra emphasis on shared services to reduce costs, and this accomplishes that. AR 5726, this is a shared service agreement with the Borough of Highland Park for the provision of tax assessor. Again, as the same with the resolution before, another example of working with another municipality to reduce costs. Down to the police department, AR 5826. This is a lot of housekeeping here. Lexapro is a training and accreditation system that they use. This just renews that. AR 5926 is a resolution awarding a contract to Power DMS for scheduling, policy, and training software platforms. AR 6026 is a resolution authorizing the acceptance of a grant from the RSI Foundation. This is for the police department to use on training. It's for $25,000. Again, this is we're really proud we're able to secure that grant. On to the health department, AR 6126, a resolution accepting and receiving a grant from New Jersey Department of Health for the local health for enhancing local public health infrastructure grant. Then we have AR 6226. This is also housekeeping. This is to accept and receive a grant from New Jersey Department of Health, Office of Local Health for sustaining local public health infrastructure grant. On to revenue and finance, we have two resolutions that are housekeeping. First is a refund of money due to redemption of tax sale certificates for 2024 and 2025. The next, AR 6426, resolution authorizing the refund of tax overpayments pursuant to tax court judgments, engineering and land use. Again, this is a fair amount of housekeeping. This is to release a right-of-way bond to Rafael Ramos for a permit from 12/2/24. AR 6626, we have a resolution ratifying payment to Shager Property for emergency sinkhole repair at Seminary Avenue. Resolution AR 6726, resolution authorizing the execution of a professional service contract between Rahway and Whitestone Associates. This is for well abandonment, groundwater monitoring, and regulatory reporting. AR 6826, this is a resolution authorizing a change order to the contract between the City of Rahway and T&M Associates for professional engineering services associated with the water treatment plan evaluation, capital improvement planning. And then on to AR 6926, we have a resolution awarding the acceptance of a bid to Paseo Improvement Project for the City of Rahway to Land Tech Construction. As you're aware, one of the mayor's goals is to enhance public spaces, and this is furthering that initiative. On to code enforcement, AR 7026. This is the filing of liens against certain properties to recover cleanup costs incurred by the city. Again, that's some housekeeping. To Public Works, we have a resolution authorizing the purchase of a new S76 T4 Bobcat skid steer loader off of Co-op. This will be helpful with the efforts that you saw the DPW taking part in over the past 10 days with removing snow and ice. And that concludes our summaries.
Thank you, Mr. Puckovich. This is the hearing of the citizens portion of the meeting. Citizens will have 5 minutes to speak on resolutions and first reading ordinances listed on the agenda only. Second reading ordinances will have their own public hearing. The floor is also open for public comment. You may only speak once, and you must address all comments to the City Council. While all comments are made by the public will be taken under advisement, the City Council will not respond to the comments made by the public, as this portion is an opportunity for the council to listen to the citizens' concerns and not debate issues or enter into a back and forth question or answer discussion. Ms. Capone, has anybody signed up for this section?
Quane Palmer Chambliss from Plainfield, New Jersey.
Thank you.
Good evening again. Quane Palmer, Plainfield, New Jersey, but lifelong Rahway. First of all, no one answered my question. It was supposed to be a question and answer opportunity to get my question answered, and I wanted to know who are the 10 people that got together to have this discussion before it was even presented to the citizens, and who is actually getting paid and how much and what happens if this is not passed. Did they just make some money for nothing? I think it's really, really interesting that you start a process without getting the approval of the people that say, okay, go ahead and start the process. And I think it would be terrible if this council approved the opportunity to keep the process going on without making sure you hear first from your constituents, the people that put you there. And for the people, if you're listening, that put them there, any council member that votes for this without giving you the common courtesy to say whether we want it or not, you remember them at the poll. I don't care how much JM and Associates or whatever pays them to sit up here to be able to win, you ultimately have the power to vote no, which is one of the reasons why we want to keep the water public. So we ultimately have the power to vote no to that. So as we celebrate 100 years since Carter G. Woodson developed Negro History Week, which has turned into African American or Black History Month, I want you to remember the words of Dr. King when he gave I Have a Dream, when he talked about the status of what he would consider the Negro 100 years later. And I want you to consider the status of the African Americans and Black and brown people, people of color, and marginalized people in the city of Rahway, and what privatization of water will do to them. Privatization has never been good for people of color. That's why we've always found the majority of our jobs in the public sector, because it's in the public sector where we get a little bit more help understanding laws, regulations, and protections. The private sector has never protected us, and we shouldn't expect that the private sector will protect us now. This is not a good move. This is not good for us. This is not good for the majority of the people that voted you in, especially if you live in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th wards. Those people look like me. Those people look like you. And you really need to think very hard as to whether or not this is what you want to do to those people who voted for you. And I also think that if there's an infrastructure problem and we have a cash flow, maybe we should do that celebrity boxing match. Shame on you, Jeremy. You're better than that. That's usually the words that your mayor says. You're better than that. And I expect you to be better than that. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Capone, anybody else?
No one else.
All right. Mr. Robinson, the floor is yours.
Yes, Jeff Robinson, 244 Stanton Street, Rahway. As many as you know, I was the former chair of the City of Rahway's Environmental Commission for 23 years. Well, 23 years on, 20 years as the chair. And I would say, getting back to the issue at hand tonight, the possible privatization of the city's water facility, safe, healthy water is an environmental issue. I don't think there's anybody can deny that. yet for, I don't know, a year, this has been under consideration by the city. Never once was it ever brought to the attention of the Environmental Commission. Maybe to ask for our input, what we thought about it, nothing. First I heard of it was when I read the agenda for tonight's meeting late Friday afternoon. So, I don't know, what does that tell you? So, I would say at the minimum, you should at least table Resolution AR 55-25, considering the comments that you heard tonight. I just don't think, I think for you to go ahead with this is like a slap in the face. Thank you.
Thank you.
Andrew Garcia Phillips, 1470 Campbell Street. I just wanted to respond to one detail that Mr. Lindolfi put into the conversation, that I don't know why this wasn't part of the presentation, because it's a pretty big note that we wouldn't continue to use the existing water plant that we have, or that we may not. That's a big part of this that wasn't mentioned, and it makes some of the stuff in your presentation apples and oranges comparison. You scared us by saying we have $33 million of mandatory infrastructure work to be done this year, but maybe that's not mandatory. It seems to me like there's a range of options that could be done. If there's a company that wants to buy our water system and provide us water from another source, spend all that money to buy us and then provide water from another source, they might be willing to provide us water when we need it at a reasonable cost without buying our water system. And I don't see that was all, that's all being considered. There's a range of options here, and it seems like there is one that's being strongly pushed. And the public should know that there are many ways that you can solve this problem. I want to mention some of the other places where privatization has been a disaster. The most famous example is Chicago, when they sold their parking utility. They sold basically the right to collect from their parking meters all over the city. This was during the Great Recession, and they needed an infusion of cash. They got like $1.15 billion for selling their parking utility. I think it's for like 80 years. That company that came in and bought it tripled the rates for parking on the street, and they made back their $1.15 million in about 10 years. They have like 60 more years to go on their deal. It was a disaster for the city of Chicago, not just because it's expensive, but they don't even control their own streets now because there's a mandatory number of parking meters that have to be active at all times. They can't have a parade downtown without paying an extra concession to this company. Atlanta tried to sell their water utility. The quality dropped so bad they had boil water alerts so frequently that they had to buy back the utility after only 4 years into a 20-year deal. Bayonne spent $150 million, or received $150 million for their their water utility. Rates have gone up 50%. Some residents try to conserve water so they don't have to pay so much, but there is a guaranteed minimum revenue that was in the contract, and so even if you save water, they just jack up the rates, so you have to pay anyway. These things are, you're getting into bed with a company that wants to make money, and so it's so much more preferable to control it ourselves, where we get to make the rules, and we decide what the priorities are, and we decide when the water is clean enough and what standards we have to hit. If privatization was so great, we would just do this for all our services. Why not privatize the library, the police force, the fire department? If we could just share that with a bigger customer base, then we wouldn't have to pay so much, right? It's ridiculous. There are reasons that local control is important over things that matter to us most, and it's hard to imagine something that matters to us more than water, than having water. What wasn't discussed in all of this is just the alternative. What happens if we don't sell it? What happens? and we can take out bonds and pay for the work that we have to do. We don't necessarily have to pay for that over the course of the next 10 years. Like everything else, you spread that over a long period of time.
1 minute warning.
And all of the things that we would have to pay for anyway, we will pay for and still own and not have to pay for profit, and all the other money that they're gonna give us up front. So I agree with the other speakers that you should table this and reconsider it. There has not been one person who's gotten up here and said seriously that they want this program. Thank you.
Thank you.
You want to wait later? Okay.
Good evening, Alan Levy, 254 Oak Street. When I was interrupted before so rudely, the argument I was saying was that free market capital, by the way, I love free market capitalism. Privatization in the free market is amazing, and it generates wealth. The problem is free market does not work when it's formed by an unholy alliance between government and corporations. Corporations want to make profit. That's great. Customers want to pay less and get more. And as long as they have freedom, look, I don't like McDonald's, I'm going to go to Burger King, that's free market capitalism. But in this system, if you put it in water system, what choice does the customer have? So what you have is an unholy alliance where you have a single provider with a captive customer base. That's not free market. That's not privatization. That doesn't work. And that's why costs skyrocket and prices skyrocket under that system. Because prices go down when customers are willing to say, you know what, I want to pay less from the other guy. What choice do they have under this system? They would have none. So they would be beholden to whatever rates the company wants to provide. Now, at least with government, we can vote out people. We could have some ability of power. But when you make the unholy alliance between corporations and the public, that creates the problem that we have here. And the example I was using in the pay-to-play system was your firm, Mr. Mincello, in that this law firm paid $50,000 to the various Democratic committees for Rahway in 2024. And in receipt, they get over $500,000 in billables from this city. In fact, I think they get just as much as the township of Edison. And Edison's 4 times larger than Rahway. And what happens is every time somebody makes an Oprah request for a simple document, 1.2, to review the Oprah request, 2.4, to provide the reasoning for the delay in handing over the document. It's a great system. It's very profitable. And you have a captive customer base because we have to pay our taxes, and that money goes right in for the profit of those same companies that donate. I believe it was $15,600 per person that they get to donate for a private, for the primary or the general election. And then in response, they get a guaranteed contract. And that's why the New Jersey government calls it the pay-to-play system. I'm not saying it's illegal. I'm just saying it sucks. And as a voter, as a constituent, I think it sucks. And just to give you an example, and the other thing about protecting the public, if you give this to private corporations, what about the workers who work for these companies? Are they going to have the same public protections that a public union provides them? Or are they going to be beholden to the private sector corporation that's going to be like, all right, we'll just get cheaper workers to come in? You know, these are things I would hope you would consider. But you won't. And I'm glad for that, because you are going to inspire more residents to come out and oppose this. And I want to warn people about it. Warn people about criticizing the city, this council, and the mayor. As most of you know, my wife and I are being sued by Mr. Mincello's law firm for, quote, criticizing the mayor, the city council,
1 minute warning.
We're not being sued for slander. We're not being sued for defamation, harassment, threatening. We're being sued for criticizing. Think about that for a second. You know, the Constitution, I thought, protected the right to criticize public officials. So, Mr. Mayor, are you okay with that lawsuit being used in your name?
Mr. Levy, if you would address your comments to
You
the
know what?
council.
And I want to address that. The OPMA does not
Sir.
give you the authority.
Sir, I
You're interrupting.
have one father and one mother. They can yell at me. I would
I'm
hope
not
that you won't yell
yelling.
at me.
The OPMA and the Constitution give me the right to speak in any criticism I want. You don't have the right to tell me, oh, you must address the council objectively or not in an individual. I have
Mr.
the
Levy,
right to do
you have
that.
to adhere to the rules of decorum. You have to.
What
And that,
rules of
then case law is
decorum?
clear on that.
I'm
You know
allowed
that.
to. The Constitution gives
5
me
minutes.
the right to say naughty words, like
Speaker's time's
fuck
elapsed. Thank
or
you.
shit. I have the right to say those
No, you
words.
don't.
Thank you, Mr.
under
Levy.
The Constitution.
Thank you, Mr. Levy.
And thank you
Okay.
for interrupting me and taking
Point of
my
order,
time.
sir. I can see you next month. Have a good day. Thank you. Anybody else?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'm Cynthia Goodman, the newly elected president of the Rahway NAACP. I would like to thank Council President for officiating the ceremony. I would like to thank the mayor for I would like to thank the mayor as well for giving great remarks. As you know, it was an extremely busy weekend. I honestly didn't find out about the possibility of privatizing the water until yesterday. So I didn't get a chance to do any homework. But I can honestly say that based on what I heard this evening on behalf of the NAACP Rahway branch, I humbly request if you can table the decision to give everyone more opportunity to know about what the pros and cons are in privatizing the water. Thank you.
Good evening, Council. My name is Lauren Fernandez, 98 Colonia Boulevard in Rahway. I've lived in Rahway for almost 20 years. I'm also part of the Food and Water Watch, so I'm asking you guys to table this whole privatization of the water because I really didn't find out until a few hours ago what Rahway's trying to do, which is not surprising to me, knowing the history that the council people here have, starting from right before the pandemic when you decided to change the zoning laws in my area to allow for the dispensary that's now located on St. George's Avenue. Although the majority of Rahway did not want the dispensary, it was decided by council and disregarded what the city of Rahway wanted. And you did it all under the table, starting right in 2020 when you started changing the zoning laws while everybody was worried about what was happening with the pandemic. All these changes were being made. I don't understand how we haven't been notified as residents of these changes with the water privatization. Like I said, it's not surprising. You decided to knock down a diner instead of putting it for sale to see if maybe you wanted to keep it or open a restaurant and putting the dispensary there. We've come here, the town is known for its historic buildings. A lot of them have also been knocked down. It's just a series of things that the council people do here, the mayor allows. It's very sad because as a resident of Rahway, I've also been trying to get the tree committee developed with other members of Rahway, Bob Marquis. We've been trying for years to get this board, and you guys have completely ignored us, have signed our petitions to have this tree board for the city of Rahway. That has not been completed either. You pick and choose what you want, nothing really related to the environment. Privatization of water will only increase the cost for the residents of Rahway. It will only make profit for companies by privatizing our water. So I ask you to please do not vote on this tonight. Please leave it and please notify the residents of Rahway, which I will. I'll definitely be stepping up and making sure my neighbors know, just like they didn't know anything when you guys were changing the laws and putting up the dispensary a few blocks away from my house. It's just sad. It's just sad. I live here. I keep seeing all these things happening. You guys just keep doing what you want. Right before the elections, I remember when people came up and we were having other people, other council members try to come in to replace the regular people that are here. Even councilwoman for my district, Vannie Parson, said, oh, we're not sure where we're going to put the dispensary now. But as soon as you guys got elected, the decision was like that. We're keeping the place that we're putting the dispensary. Please consider the city of Rahway, the residents, and table this decision. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
So thank you to the mayor and to the rest of the council for giving me an opportunity to speak. I'll be fair to say that I don't know much about the water.
I'm sorry, can you just state your name and address, please?
I'm sorry. My name is Sean. Last name is Golden. Address 185 West Main Street. In addition, 1608 Irving Street, SG's Corner Mart. So this is particularly what I've come in about, not really to speak about the water, so apologies to the audience out there that I don't have a position on the way forward on that. But I do come here tonight, first as a business owner operating the Corner Mart in Rahway, and second as the president of the Union County Black Business Congress, representing the broader interests of small businesses in our community. And the subject that I just want to kind of talk about today is the impact on the ongoing construction on local small businesses and requests for just probably a mitigation consideration that we've put together. And so just a little history about me. I purchased my store in June 2025. At that time, the business engaged in between 35 to 4,500 a month, about 30 to 40 customers per day. Since the construction began in October 25, these numbers have dropped for me particularly significantly. Today, monthly revenue is closer to about 1,500 to 2,000, and the foot traffic is down to about 10 to 15% per customer. So the quantified impact, roughly for me, is about 55 to 60% loss in revenue and 60 to 65% reduction in customer traffic. So the construction schedule, as I understand it from the communications that came out, which we appreciate, is expected to go through October 2026, which means this impact will extend through the spring and summer. Official months for small, really, really critical months for small businesses like myself. So I do want to be clear as I speak to the council, as a representative of the small business, in addition to our Congress, this is not a complaint at all. This is really about progress and us really looking at the infrastructure. We understand and we support the development, but what we're asking is for a parallel economic mitigation, maybe some practical steps to help the business survive while construction is underway, some options like parking flexibility, visibility support, temporary relief programs. And again, this is all based on a collaborative approach that we'd like to take with the city of Rahway to create some solutions that protect both the local businesses and the city's economic baseline. So through the Union County Black Business Congress, we've documented this for our local business owners in the area as a standing policy issue, not just for my business, but for all the impacted businesses. But like I said before, we're absolutely ready to work with the city to find solutions that just support long-term economic health for Rahway. So thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Goldman. And I'm going to just raise up two things. Can we introduce him to Mr. Armando after the meeting? You can, if he has some concerns. Okay, awesome. And then second, this is gentleman, the lobbyist gentleman. If I know that you're trying to get people to sign your petition, if you can refrain from just interrupting people during the session and wait outside. You can wait here, but if you want to get the signatures, then just please wait till after the meeting. You may be. So thank you. Sir, I'm not going to go back and forth. I'm having a request. If you don't want to honor the request, it's up to you. I'm just politely asking you to allow the people to pay attention so they can know what's going on. Okay? Thank you. All right, sir. Go ahead. Okay, sir. All right. Thank you, Mr. Golden.
Thank you, too. Thank you.
I'm Kristen Sturkey, 1124 Pierpont Street. I just want to say thank you for, I guess, the comments and the acknowledgement that more communication and direct and open communication is what you're focusing on. I just want to ask for more and more of that. I also didn't know that this meeting wasn't happening the second Monday until just maybe a day and a half ago, and I'm glad that I was on Facebook and I happened to see somebody else's post, and I do appreciate that the information is on the city's website, but I just took a look at the Instagram and the Facebook, and it's not like a huge announcement that a very big topic that many people would probably feel very passionate about was going to be discussed tonight here, and I just worry that there's a lot of people out there that are very interested in this and do not have a clue that this discussion is happening right now. I don't have a whole outline on how to communicate better to the town of Rahway to present to you right now, but I just hope to hear more and more interest in improving the communication and reaching out to people, maybe putting something in people's mailboxes when big topics like this are coming up. I don't know, like I said, I'm not gonna stand here and just like brainstorm. I think it's important. I don't think everybody knows that important things are being discussed when they are. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, how's it going? Jim Betts, 1124 Pierpont. I had something unrelated to the water. The Verizon building on Milton Street, I've actually made several calls about this to the non-emergency department. Across the street from the Verizon building, they have a parking lot. The sidewalk in front of it has not been shoveled. I've watched now a woman fall, as well as a woman who is probably in her 80s try and navigate it with a shopping cart. It was very difficult for her. It still hasn't been addressed. I've been calling since Thursday to try and get it addressed. I would really love if somebody could either go over there. I saw some employees walking out of there today, and I approached them, but they said that they're contractors, that they don't work for Verizon. And their answer to me was that Verizon doesn't care about their facilities, and so that they likely are not going to address it. $160 billion privatized company kind of shows you what you might get with the water supply as well. But if please we could have somebody address that. I walk to the train every morning. It's been a real problem, and I've seen several people struggle with it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody to my left? Anybody to my right? All right. Well, seeing none, I'm going to need to make a motion in a second to close this public hearing section of this meeting.
So moved.
Newberry.
Second.
Jablisco. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Brown? Eastman?
Yes.
Jablisco?
Yes.
Miles?
Yes.
Mohica?
Yes.
Montessioka?
Yes.
Newberry?
Yes.
Parsons absent. Brooks?
Yes. Mr. Marcello, would you like to make a few
Thank
address,
you.
and would you also address that last item as well?
Certainly.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council President. Thank you for the opportunity just to address a few of the comments that were made. And I just want to offer some clarification. I think the most glaring statement that needs to be addressed, Mr. Phillips started by saying that the administration and the mayor strongly pushed for privatization. I can't say the mayor was more clear over and over and over again that he is not taking sides, that he is offering up a question for the public. Okay, I think we've said that as many times as humanly possible. This is not strongly pushed. This is presented for the residents of Rahway to make an informed decision. So as to Ms. Palmer-Chambliss' question, she asked, why were professionals engaged and why were there costs associated with professionals? And the fact of the matter is that the mayor was insistent, as we move forward, that we provide good information that can aid the public in making that decision. And that's why this professional group was presented. That's why the presentation was made this evening, so that the residents would have a good, solid basis of information. And frankly, a lot of the debate that took place tonight was exactly what the mayor and this administration wanted to see. That robust debate today is the beginning of that 10-month process. So I think it's important that we say that what we saw tonight was exactly that. So I just want to clarify one last point. There's been a lot of calls to table the action this evening. To table the action this evening would, in essence, end the debate. It would be the least democratic thing you could do. it would end the debate. It would be the least democratic thing that you could do.
Mr. Rahway, please.
By taking the action tonight to move forward to accept bids, you allow the debate to continue. You allow the residents to make a decision as to how to move forward with the water department. So I just want to be clear, just make those clarify just a few of the things that were said. And once again, I just want to clarify again, the mayor has said it, Mr. Landolfi has said it, that this is the first step in a long process. There has not been, the mayor has not advocated one way or the other. He is asking for the residents to make that decision on November 3rd. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right. Ms. Capone, would you please read ordinance O-07-26 by title?
An ordinance amending Chapter 177 Construction Codes Uniform of the Code of the City of Rahway.
Do any council members have any questions or comments? May I have a mover and a second?
I move that motion 0726.
Councilman Brown?
Second?
Newberry? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Brown? Eastman?
Yes.
Jablisco?
Yes.
Miles?
Yes.
Mohica?
Yes.
Montestioka?
Yes.
Newberry?
Yes.
Parsons absent. Brooks?
Yes. Ms. Capone, please read ordinance O-08-26 by title.
An ordinance amending land use legislation, Chapter 421 zoning, to modify signage regulations for Class 5 cannabis licensed retail businesses in the City of Rahway.
Do any council members have any questions or comments regarding this ordinance of O-08-26? May I have a mover and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Newberry, Eastman, roll call, please.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Eastman?
Yes.
Jablisco?
Yes.
Miles?
Yes.
Mohica?
No.
Montestioka?
Yes.
Newberry?
Yes.
Parsons absent. Brooks?
Yes.
Ordinances O-7-26 and O-8-26 are deemed adopted on first reading and will come up for public hearing and final adoption on March 2nd, 2026 at 7 p.m.
Thank you. Resolutions AR-53-26 through AR-71-26 will be adopted as one motion on consent agenda. Do any council members wish to remove a resolution from the consent agenda?
Council President, I would like, I is to think about tabling AA 5526, just for the reason that it will still be, I appreciate it, but that's not why I'm doing it. I think we have time. It will still be here next month. People have stood up and given different comments. And I'm, as someone who's been here 24 years and being from England, England voted on Brexit. So I just think we have time. Voting on this would enable us to put it onto the ballot later on in November. We have time for that, but I think it sounds really good. But at the same time, I think we have time to look at the other side and give it just as much time as we have on this side too. So I'm requesting, I'm putting it forward to council to table it for a month, and let's really continue to talk about some of the citizens' concerns, and you can always put it on next month.
Councilwoman Miles, thank you for your comment. I'm actually going to make a motion to take this into executive session. I need to, of course, take a look at the timeline to see if that falls in line with what you're saying. Verify that, and then take it into consideration with the rest of our council members. So with that said, can I have a motion and a second to
So
take
moved.
this? Newberry?
Second.
Eastman? I just provided it, sir. Sir, if you keep interrupting, you can just, can you help him out, please? You can excuse yourself, Mr. Phillips. I just mentioned what it was for. I'm not going back and forth with you. You may excuse yourself. Have a good day. Newberry? Eastman?
Second, yes.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Brown?
I'll vote yes, but it's not something that I'd like to do, Council President.
You can vote no. You can.
What?
like to take this into executive session so I can see the accuracy of the timeline. It was presented to us.
But did she get a second?
Sorry?
Did she get a second?
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
She asked me if
I'll vote
she
yes to go
requested-
into executive session.
Okay.
I'm sorry, there should be no debate when we are in a roll call. So the roll call should continue. Thank you.
You can vote.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Eastman?
Yes.
Jablisco?
Yes.
Miles?
Yes.
Mohica?
Yes.
Mosesioka?
Yes.
Newberry?
Yes.
Persons absent, Brooks.
Yes. You guys may stay out here if you like. We'll be back in a matter of minutes. Thank you so much.
David, you know the statute says he has to put a reason on the record.
Thank you for your patience, everybody. I'm gonna make a motion to return from executive session.
So moved.
Newberry,
I'll second that.
Mohica, roll call, please.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Eastman?
Yes.
Jablisco?
Yes.
Miles? Mohica?
Yes.
Montestioka?
Yes.
Newberry?
Yes.
Parsons absent. Brooks?
Yes. Before we go into back to the resolutions, I'm going to ask if Mr. Bongello will comment, please.
Thank you, Council President. Just a little housekeeping. The Open Public Meetings Act requires when we go into an executive session that it has to meet one of the enumerated statutory exceptions. We did have an exception which allowed us to go into a closed session. It was for the purpose of contract negotiations. We have concluded that executive session, and we are now back in open session. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. So I'm going to go through and reading through the resolutions for consent agenda, and then I will ask if any my council colleagues will have any questions or comments regarding that. Okay. So resolutions AR-53-26 through AR-71-26 will be adopted as one motion on consent agenda. My apologies. This is a long night. Do any council members wish to remove a resolution from the consent agenda or have any comments?
Council President, I have a comment. And I'll explain what this First of all, I'm voting no. Part of my voting no was not to have it go out to a public vote. And what I didn't realise was that this resolution doesn't actually do that, which is a good thing because it gives us more time to think about it. But what this resolution does do, it allows the city to get bids from different water companies so that they actually get different prices before anything is voted on, put it onto an ordinance to go out onto the ballot in November. So the vote that we're doing tonight on this specific resolution, it doesn't vote to put it onto the ballot. So no decision is being made to sell the water the water treatment. But what it does do is allow Rahway to get bids in, like potential bids, to see what would be out there, so that when or if it is decided to put it onto the ballot, you can have more information about what's in it for Rahway, what do the bids look like. So that really clarifies things for me. So I will be voting yes on this resolution.
Thank you, Councilwoman Miles. Anybody else from the council making comments? Seeing none, may I have a motion and a second to adopt the consent agenda?
So moved.
I'll second that.
Newberry, Mohica, roll call, please.
Councilmember Brown? Yes. Eastman?
Yes.
Jablisco?
Yes.
Miles?
Yes.
Mohica?
Yes.
Montestioka?
Yes.
Newberry?
Yes.
Parsons absent. Brooks?
Yes. Next is ordinance on second reading. Ms. Capone, please read the title for ordinance O-1-26.
An ordinance authorizing an emergency appropriation, NJS 40A:4-53, funding of terminal pay for retired employees.
At this time, I will open the public hearing for ordinance O-1-26. You will have 5 minutes to speak, or you may only speak once. Please direct all comments to the city council. Ms. Capone, has anybody signed up to speak?
No one has signed up.
Okay, is there anyone that would, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Does anybody from council have comments on the ordinance? Seeing none, I need a motion and a second to adopt ordinance O-1-26.
So moved.
Second.
Newberry, Eastman, roll call, please.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Eastman?
Yes.
Jablisco?
Yes.
Miles?
Yes.
Mohica?
Yes.
Montestioka?
Yes.
Newberry?
Yes.
Parsons absent. Brooks?
Yes. Ms. Capone, please read ordinance O-2-26.
An ordinance amending Chapter 401 of the Code of the City of Rahway, Vehicles and Traffic, removing permit parking on a portion of Central Avenue.
At this time, I will open up the public hearing for ordinance O-2-26. You will have 5 minutes to speak, and you may only speak once. Please direct all comments to the city council. Ms. Capone, has anybody signed up to speak on this particular ordinance?
No one has signed up.
Is there anybody that would like to comment from council?
Yes, Council President.
Councilman Brown.
Councilman, which church was this?
Pardon?
Which church?
Ebenezer A&E Church.
And you're asking, can you park in the designated spots?
Yeah, because they have a sign up there saying no parking, permit only.
Yeah, you should avoid the permit spots, but for the church, I know they have a lot, and then the rest of Central up by Veterans Field is open for parking.
Any other? Seeing none, I need a motion to second.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Eastman?
Yes.
Jablisco?
Yes.
Miles?
Yes.
Mohica?
Yes.
Montestioka?
Yes.
Newberry?
Yes.
Parsons absent. Brooks?
Yes, and that was Newberry Montes de Oca. Ms. Capone, please read title Ordinance O-3-26.
An ordinance amending Chapter 401 of the Code of the City of Rahway, Vehicles and Traffic, adding permit parking in designated areas on Central Avenue.
At this time, I will open the public hearing for Ordinance O-3-26. You will have 5 minutes to speak, and you may only speak once. Please direct all comments to City Council. Ms. Capone, has anybody signed up to speak on this particular ordinance?
No one has signed up.
Is there anyone that would like to comment on this particular ordinance? Seeing none, I would like to close the public hearing. Does anybody from council have any comments? I need a motion and a second to adopt Ordinance O-3-26.
So moved.
Newberry, Miles, roll call, please.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Eastman?
Yes.
Jablisco?
Yes.
Miles? Mohica?
Yes.
Montestioka?
Yes.
Newberry?
Yes.
Parsons absent. Brooks?
Yes. Ms. Capone, please read title Ordinance O-4-26.
An ordinance amending Chapter 401 of the Code of the City of Rahway, Vehicles and Traffic, handicap parking on Campbell Street.
Campbell Street, at this time, I will open this up to the public for Ordinance O-4-26. You will have 5 minutes to speak, and you may only speak once. Please direct all comments to City Council. Ms. Capone, has anybody signed up?
No one has signed up.
Is there anybody who would like to comment? Seeing none, I would like to close the public hearing. Does anybody from council have any comments on this ordinance? I need a motion and a second to adopt Ordinance O-4-26.
I'll make the motion to adopt O-4-26.
Thank you, VP Mohica.
Second.
Thank you, Councilwoman Eastman. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Eastman?
Yes.
Jablisco?
Yes.
Miles?
Yes.
Mohica?
Yes.
Montestioka?
Yes.
Newberry?
Yes.
Parsons absent. Brooks?
Yes, Ms. Capone, please read the title for Ordinance O-5-26.
An ordinance amending Chapter 401 of the Code of the City of Rahway, Vehicles and Traffic, adding permit parking in designated areas on Essex Street and Johnson Street.
At this time, I will open it up for the public hearing of Ordinance O-5-26. You will have 5 minutes to speak, or may only speak once. Please direct all your comments to City Council. Ms. Capone, has anybody signed up for this particular ordinance?
No one has signed up.
Is there anybody in the public who would like to comment on this particular ordinance? Seeing none, do I have any council colleagues that would like to address this ordinance?
Yes, Council.
Councilman Brown. I have
I second
need a
it.
second, please. That's Montes de Oca. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Eastman?
Yes.
Jablisco?
Yes.
Miles?
Yes.
Mohica?
Yes.
Montestioka?
Yes.
Newberry?
Yes.
Parsons absent. Brooks?
Yes, Ms. Capone, please read the title for Ordinance O-6-26.
An ordinance amending Chapter 401 of the Code of the City of Rahway, Vehicles and Traffic, removing permit parking in designated areas on Essex Street and Johnson Street.
At this time, I will open this up to public hearing for Ordinance O-6-26. You will have 5 minutes to speak, and you may only speak once. Please direct all comments to City Council. Ms. Capone, has anybody signed up to speak?
No one has signed up.
Is there anybody in the audience who would like to comment on this particular ordinance? Seeing none, do I have any council members who have any comments on this particular ordinance, O-6-26?
Yes, as I commented before the Council President, I'd like to move this
Dave, can you just put your microphone on?
I'd like to move 0626.
You got Brown,
Second.
Montes de Oca. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Brown? Eastman?
Yes.
Jablisco?
Yes.
Miles?
Yes.
Mohica?
Yes.
Montes de Oca?
Yes.
Newberry?
Yes.
Parsons absent. Brooks?
Yes, and to my understanding, there's no miscellaneous business for tonight. So now I'm going to pass over to my council colleagues. I'm going to start with my good friend, First Ward Councilman Alf Moran Montes de Oca. You like that, right?
Thank you for using my government. I greatly appreciate it. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for those who came in. Thank you for all those chiming in. Please understand one thing, and I'll be reiterating a lot of things set up here. This is for you to vote on. It will be very undemocratic for us to make this decision by ourselves and not allowing you to do what you want to do with this moving forward. Outside of that, just happy Black History Month. It's been a long night. I don't want to take no more of anybody's time.
Thank you, Councilman. I got Second Ward Councilwoman, Miss Darlene Eastman.
I just want to thank everyone for coming out and stressing your concerns. We appreciate it. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you, Councilwoman Eastman. I'm going to ask the man, the myth, the legend, 4-4 Councilman Dave Brown. Do you have any comments, sir?
Yes, thank you, Council President. I'd like to say to the NACP committee,
Into your microphone, please.
I'd like to say to the Dr. King committee, it was an incredible to see everyone come together 2 weeks ago for the Dr. Martin Luther King Day event. Thank you for the committee and the city for the hard work that they put in making that day such a success. Seeing the community gathering at our newly renovated MLK Park really showed what we can do when we work together to take pride in our city and in Dr. King. I'd like to say that I worked with the Dr. King Memorial Park at the beginning with Mr. John Robinson and also with Mr. Ron McCray. And it was a pleasure to see what the city had come up to do and to put up, another monument that they had done, it was about 2 years ago, and it was very nice. The other part that I'd like to say is this. Tonight, when we had the voting, I'm the councilman of the 4th Ward, and I'm going to take the time to say that I voted yes to continue to have this go on for the water company, all right? For us to deal with the progress that we've had in the city and the administration that's working together to get this done. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Brown. 5th Ward, Council Member Newberry, Danny Newberry. Do you have any words you'd like to say?
Thank you so much, Council President. I would like to commend the Special Improvement District for an exceptional soup stroll season. I'm going to start calling it a season. It feels like we're out there every Saturday, and we are. It was particularly cold, but many, many people warmed their tummies and their hearts with soup. The last 4 Saturdays. Congratulations to the Special Improvement District and to the individual who came out tonight to talk about getting connected. I do believe that there's an opportunity to make sure that it is a priority of this council and of the administration to ensure that we are connected with the Special Improvement District in supporting their efforts. They are independent and they care very much about the businesses throughout the city. So thank you for coming out this evening. And again, congratulations to the Special Improvement District for our soup stroll season.
Thank you, Councilmember Newberry. 6th Ward Councilmember, I heard you turned 45 over the weekend. Happy belated birthday. Do you have any comments?
Yes. I just want to thank everybody for coming out. And I'm happy to hear that we're working with our neighbors, Linden, on a sharing a service agreement with the diesel mechanics service. especially as the government office has put extra emphasis on cost savings throughout, and this all working together. Also, I think it was great that everyone had something to say, and I appreciate everybody coming out tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Jablisco. To my fellow council member at large, the incredible Joanna Miles.
I second Councilman Brown's comments about African American History Month and specifically the celebration for Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And also, Danny, you mentioned the soup stroll. To all the people who came out in the freezing cold in the City of Rahway events. That's absolutely great. I'd also like to thank people for coming out, but also thank you to my... I need a new microphone. Thank you to my council colleagues as well. It's such a pleasure to talk and discuss. And I just think, anyway, that's it. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Miles. Councilman Mojica, our VP, you have any council comments?
Thank you, Council President. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for coming out. I want to give praise to the fire department. Last month they had a very difficult time fighting fires, and obviously, as we mentioned earlier in the meeting, we did lose a citizen. They go through unprecedented tasks, and they have to make very difficult decisions. And while it's a difficult job that no one really wants, but they seem to want to go into those buildings and protect our citizens. And I want to thank you guys for everything you do, them and the police department as well, for all the work that you put yourselves in harm's way every day for us, and I thank you for that. I also want to thank Public Works for a fantastic job. It's amazing the streets are clean. I only had a few calls this time around, which is great. I mean, usually years ago it was a lot of them. Now hardly none, which is fantastic. I think a crossing guard had a concern. We took care of that immediately. We bounced right into it, and we handled that. Flamenco night, I want to point that out. Anthony Deege and the rec department did a spectacular job. We had a good time that night, and I'm hoping to bring back hoping that you guys bring them back, so that way the public can get another crack at listening to them, and perhaps maybe some of my council colleagues might join in me for a dance or two. And lastly, it's been snowing a lot. As we know, the weather's been horrible, a lot of ice out there. Just check on your neighbors, all right? Especially, after a snowfall, check on your neighbors, especially the elderly. They need your help. It doesn't hurt to clear out the walk. It doesn't have to be perfect, just has to be clear, so that way they can get through. God forbid emergency services need to get through. Everyone's safe, and we can move forward and have confidence that our streets are clean and we're helping each other out. This is a community just as much as it is ours, it is yours, and I appreciate all of you. Happy Black History Month to all. God bless, and have a great rest of your month.
Thank you, Council Vice President. Good evening, everybody. First, I want to say thank you to all the residents who came out tonight. For those of you who shared your voices, please know, for everybody who attended here tonight, your voice matters just as much as those who do not attend the meetings. We are accountable to all the residents in Rahway. Some voices are more boisterous than others. We understand it takes courage to attend these meetings and to voice your opinion. Whether you're from Rahway, from outside of Rahway, we appreciate the information that you provide. And there might be things that individuals may or may not agree with, but do know that everything that you say, we listen to and we take back. And it's truly an honor to serve in this role, and so I think we all feel that way. We are your neighbors. The decisions we make impact our families as well. We drink the same water. We shop at the same grocery stores. We go to the same places. We walk down the same sidewalks. We drive down the same streets. So as you feel as if we're making decisions for you and your families, we also make them for our families as well. There's a lot more that we have in common than what sets us apart. So I just want to really drive that home, and that we agree on most things, and when we don't, we address it publicly and we debate, and that's cool. That's fine. I also want to speak about Black History Month. And at this time, we're seeing efforts at the federal level to diminish our history, to remove the mentions from our institutions, to lessen fundings for museums and programs that tell the full American story. We must be clear about where we stand. We will not erase history. We will not water it down, and we will not allow the contributions and the sacrifices and the struggles of my Black American ancestors to go pushed aside for the sake of political convenience. This is not ancient history. I have a thing on social media where I'm very deliberate on sharing colored pictures of Dr. King and Malcolm X, because this happened in many of our lifetimes. I mean, I don't want to age some of the council members here, but I can tell you, as far as my mother, she remembers very vividly the assassination of Dr. King. And my mom is only 40 years old, so just plain. She looks that way. Hey, Mom. But this isn't some far ancient history. This happened within many of our lifetimes. And if we're not careful, a lot of these things can repeat itself. But I'll say plainly that while many governmental institutions are trying to rebrand themselves, whether it be questioning if we can have an Office of LGBTQ Affairs or an Office of Women or Community Diversity and Inclusion, I can tell you right now, in the city of Rahway, there's always going to be a Black History Month. And history does not weaken a nation, but erase it does. And like my council colleague, Mr. Brown said, 2 weeks ago, we attended a very well-attended programs honoring who I call the greatest American of all time, Dr. King, at the Second Baptist Church. And it was in record cold temperatures, but young people, old people, residents, visitors all gathered. And that day reminded me again that we're more united than what social media or any elected official would have you believe. I also want to I had the honor of attending, as mentioned before, by our NAACP Rahway branch ceremony. The mayor was in attendance. He gave some incredible remarks. So did your VP, Kashina Marche. I posted her quote today on my treadmill run. We are worth the effort. Yes, we are. So thank you for that, and I'm looking forward to the partnership that we'll continue to have. And I think it's great that there's new leadership at the helm, because it inspires others to be active. And just closing, I just want to give a sincere thank you and appreciation to our Department of Public Works. I had the opportunity to shovel a few driveways out. My back is like dead. So I have the greatest respect of what you guys were able to do. It was a lot of snow. It was a whole lot of snow. Mayor, you were out there last night. You looked like you had a good time. So, but it's really tough work. We appreciate it. I know that, you might hear criticisms, but, a lot of times when people are happy, they're not really saying much. So I would say that majority of the individuals in the city, they see what you're doing, they see your hard work, and they appreciate it. So I just wanted to say that. We look forward to February 26th for the State of the City. And with that, I would like to make a motion to close this meeting.
So moved.
Newberry, Brown, all in favor?
Aye.